Welcome to Post Game on the Pitch. I'm Osvita Mara of CascadiaSports.net. To my right, Stephen Egan of Radio Cascadia. Welcome, Stephen. To my left, John Marshall of MLS Great Britain. It was a wild game, which makes sense. Second team in the Western Conference takes on number 6 in the Western Conference, and of course number 6, the Sounders, retire one of the greatest players in American, if not at least one of the greatest Sounders to play. Stephen, what can you say about this game from the start?
What a wild day, Maz. Clint Dempsey was barely off the field after his celebration when SKC had the ball in the net early. So the 1-0 opener was brought about by Diego Rubio, who bypassed a Seattle defender in the corner of the area, slammed home from about 20 yards on the angle. It was a remarkable shot, and Seattle seemed really stunned early. They were able to respond almost right away after getting a foothold. But you had to say SKC carried the game all the way into the break.
And you know what? And just to your point, Smetzer did talk about that they were not ready, and he took ownership of that. He said the coaches did not have the players ready to go because they started 5 on the front. But even with that, even though for the first 10 minutes, as you said, Stephen, that the Sounders weren't ready to play, they're behind a goal. But John, actually, the defending actually improved along the way.
Yeah, after giving up that 2-minute goal, the players, as Smetzer said, the players came in, rebounded together, got together and refocused, and defensively, even when they would make a mistake, they would still come back and clean up that mistake. They didn't let SKC punish them for the mistakes they were making. Chad Marshall was fantastic in the first half at getting back on defense, making the smart plays. Ken Keehee was great as well. You have Brad Smith getting the assist on the equalizing goal 10 minutes after in the 12th minute to put Seattle back level with a beautiful cross into Raul Ruidiaz for really this easiest tap-in I think he'll have in his career with the Sounders. So it was a really great performance defensively from Seattle, even after that momentary defensive lapse, that they don't collapse, they don't fall apart, they regroup, and they really do a great job of frustrating Kansas City and not letting them get another goal.
No, you're absolutely right, because again, Smetzer talked about this in the press conference in terms of, he said after they went down, he said they were all, the players themselves kind of regrouped as a unit. And Stefan Frei talked about how, we talk about Tim Keehee and Marshall, but he said Alonso and Gustav, what they play in there is really the difference in terms of defense. What you all see is just the back 5. But having said that, the Sounders went into the break maybe on the back foot, and seems to me Smetzer made some adjustments that really made the difference, didn't he, Stephen?
Definitely, and Sounders really were on the back foot going into the break. I just have to mention that Marshall and Kim were doing fine in terms of their last-ditch defending to keep Seattle from conceding again, but they had 5 or 6 uncharacteristic turnovers in the first period that really almost cost Seattle. You have to say that was something that they cleaned up beyond the break that got better. Really what Sounders did is they started to press as a unit in the second half instead of pressing individually. SKC has a lot of technical midfielders who are going to do really well and find the open pass if you don't close them down thoroughly and as a group. And when Sounders started to do that, SKC's spaces in midfield and the joy that they were finding connecting through the center part of the park seemed to go away, coincided with a really great period for Seattle to start the second half, where they managed to put away 2 of their own.
That's right, because Casey's, Gutierrez, Sanchez, and Espinoza, the room was gone, as you talked about. Stephen, was bottled up. So, John, after the adjustments, what did you see in terms of how Seattle benefited from pressing up forward? Did you see anything there?
Yeah, I mean, the way that they were pressing forward, they weren't, they were giving Kansas City limited space. They were creating turnovers. They were creating chaos in Sporting Kansas City's final defensive third, which led to multiple opportunities. That's how, first it's a own goal by Graham Zusi. Harry Shipp gets to the inside the 18-yard box, puts in a cross, goes off the back of Zusi and into the back of the net. But these plays are coming off of turnovers after challenges in the center of the field where Seattle's winning back the ball. They're getting possession back earlier, higher up the field, and there's less defenders at that point that they have to try and play through, and it gives them a more direct path to goal. I think also it was really impressive to see, we didn't get a goal from a couple chances. Ruidiaz had one, stealing the ball right behind the defense.
Yeah.
Basically going one-on-one with the goalkeeper and just put it high. But there were moments like that throughout the second half that Seattle didn't get another goal from that. But it looked very positive. It looked like they were going to get chances because of that.
And Smetzer talked about this, that they created their own chances.
Yeah.
So guys, 8-11, right? The Sounders have won 8 games in a row, unbeaten the next 11. But looming is the FIFA break. What's your take in terms of this? Because Stephen, I'm just gonna throw it to you. Bad spot, bad time to take a break from work.
You know, I think the Seattle Sounders at this point, you'd have to say, are ready to overcome whatever is tossed in front of them. I think that the thing that you can say about this 8-game winning streak is that each win, each match as they've approached it, has been their biggest game of the season as they've played it. It started with the home game against Vancouver, where they really, really had to have the points. They went away to San Jose that midweek, and those early games in the streak, you needed them just to get near the red line, to think that you had a shot at this again. And by the end of the streak, you're proving week in, week out that you can beat better and better sides in the league. First it was NYCFC, then it was Dallas, then LA Galaxy. Here's your seminal achievement in the season up to this point. An SKC side that hardly ever concedes, that plays great ball on the road, that is as organized and technical as any team in the Western Conference. You do the unthinkable, you give up a goal early against them, and then with them, having the opportunity to sit in, play for their 3 points, play for their draw, whatever it is, managed to put 3 behind. I believe that this was the best performance of the year from the Sounders after the initial difficulties and after the defensive turnovers. And I think that, back to the international break, they'd love to get out of the field. That being said, having to wait 2 weeks from now until they go to Vancouver in a huge rivalry game, that's not so bad.
All right, so he just recapped the whole thing, right? So Stephen, who does a radio podcast, so he talked about what they've done in this 8-game win streak. He recapped the fact that they have a 2-week break, and then they're facing Vancouver. Pick one of the three or all three. What's your take?
Just quickly, before this match,
Kansas City.
Before this match, Kansas City had, I think, over 4 games, a 370-minute scoreless clean sheet.
Clean sheet. There you go. Yeah, 4 straight wins.
4 straight wins coming into this game. So to put 3 on Kansas City after they've had this really great stretch of putting on fantastic defensive performances, I think is a really great point for Seattle to be able to ride into this FIFA break. Also, we got to remember that there's going to be, I forget if it's 4 or 5 different Sounders playing in the international break. Torres, Svensson, Rui Diaz, Ladero,
and Jordy Dilem is the 5th.
Jordy Dilem as well. So you're still going to have a number of Seattle players getting reps, getting games in. You hope that they don't come back from those, completely healthy, no injuries, all those sorts of things. But that's going to be still, most of their team getting playing time, getting minutes, keeping it near them. So I don't think it's going to affect them as much as it potentially could have, and I think it's going to be good for some of these guys to get a little bit of rest. I think for Alonso, it's going to be really nice. Chad Marshall as well. Some of the older guys on the roster to have some rest and recoup it as they go in for the final stretch of the season.
All right, so given that, there you go. That's he is John Marshall from MLS Great Britain. That is Stephen Hagan from Radio Cascadia. I'm Masvida Maraira from CascadiaSports.net. And yeah, as we close this out, the 2-week break is good for the Sounders. 5 of them, like you said, John. Let's hope no injuries. And then, as you said, Stephen, on to Vancouver. So we will come back in a couple weeks. This is Post Game on the Pitch. I'm Masvida Maraira, Stephen Hagan, and John Marshall. Thank you for watching.